From getting all up in Khabib's face to getting hilariously trolled by Brock Lesnar, here's a list of UFC fighters that Conor McGregor thinks are overrated. It's no secret that Khabib and Conor have had some serious beef in the past, and it's led to some pretty horrible remarks from our mouth from the South. The two went head-to-head back in October 2018, and the Eagle beat the Irish legend by a landslide. Ever since then, McGregor has been trash-talking him to anyone who listened. Heck, he's been trash-talking him since before the match had even begun. At the pre-fight press conference for UFC 229, the Irish fighter called Khabib a quivering coward and literally calling him a rat in the sewer, all in the attempts of rattling the Russian. After his harrowing defeat in the match, McGregor doubled down and attempted to play off his loss by calling Khabib overrated and challenging him to a rematch. This said rematch never really happened though, but that doesn't mean McGregor didn't bring it up every chance he could. The Eagle announced his retirement in 2020 after losing his father that same year. Mystic Mac was the first one to address it. He gave an interview to ESPN's Ariel Helwani in January 2021 and put out a statement saying Khabib is retiring because he's afraid of rematching with McGregor. He said he doesn't blame the Eagle for running away from the fight and claimed to have the answer that would destroy that man. His retirement just showed McGregor how much of an overrated fighter Khabib was, but that doesn't mean our little fighter won't try to provoke him into another match. And now for the MMA underdog, Gilbert Burns. UFC champ Burns has been getting a lot of flack since he lost to Bilal Muhammad on May 7, 2023. Trolls have not left him alone, with one Twitter user putting out a thread on why Durinho is an overrated fighter. And of course, our Mystic Mac has never really been one to pass up on some good old-fashioned trolling. He retweeted the thread, agreeing with it, and making a few mocking comments about the Brazilian's first name, Gilbert. Well, that sparked a bit of a troll war in his comment section, with split responses. Some fans saw the humor in the situation and said they could always count on him to crack him up. But some were disappointed he couldn't show Gilbert the same respect he had shown McGregor in the past. Whatever side you're on, it's still true that the Irishman likes to prod at his potential opponents, and rumors of a Burns versus McGregor fight have been circling for years now. Who knows? 2023 might be the year they come true if the mouth keeps up these antics. Eddie Alvarez has actually been one of the few fighters who's clapped back at Conor McGregor. Where Khabib looked almost bored at all the press conferences he had to do with the mouth from the South, Alvarez gave the Notorious a run for his money. Conor McGregor has always been vocal about his opinion on Eddie, saying he was way overrated, and after beating him in UFC 205 back in November 2016, he's been more unbearable about it than ever. The pre-fight press conference had Alvarez jumping down McGregor's throat by mocking his Irish accent and saying he was a joke of an Irish representative in the MMA sport. But McGregor isn't one to take things lightly and almost got into a physical altercation with the Philadelphian fighter. When asked about his thoughts on what Eddie's been saying about him, Conor literally just laughed in his face and said he doesn't care what he says because the Irish are back. He actually said he'd rearrange his facial structure in the fight. That's how hard he'll come at him. And in a conference call with media members, the Notorious said that Eddie was going to be badly hurt after the game, a promise he ended up delivering on when he won UFC 205. This actually seems to be McGregor's MO, to trash his potential opponents and get in their heads, calling them weak and overrated, then completely thrashing them in the ring. It's what he did back in 2015 too with Jose Aldo. There was a months-long tirade against the Brazilian fighter, where he trash-talked him at every event, promising to whoop his butt come 13th of December 2015. The mouth from the South even tacked up a picture of Aldo's face on his wall and threw darts at it right in front of fans and media. He then literally tore up the picture and challenged Aldo to a match. This took a lot of confidence on McGregor's part, considering he only had 2 wins under his belt at the time, compared to Jose's long list of victories. Aldo put out a statement about it too, saying that McGregor's only a talker and that he's fought only once and thinks he's the king. But it doesn't look like that cocky self-confidence was misplaced, considering the Irish newbie won the match against the veteran. But boy, did he win it good. So many cuss words were thrown around in their pre-match press conference, mostly on part of McGregor, who couldn't even stay on his own side of the podium and nearly caused a physical fight mere days before their actual televised one. I mean, then there's the longtime rival Nate Diaz. And the spats with him just show that McGregor doesn't even need to be face-to-face with you to talk you down a peg or two. Back in 2016, with 3 weeks to go until their second fight, Conor McGregor turned up the heat and sent him a little video message after Nate's appearance on Conan to drag his fashion choices through the mud. The Mouth has always been vocal about how he's found Diaz to be an overrated fighter, which is ironic since Diaz beat him fair and square in their first fight in March 2016. In one of their press conferences, McGregor actually tried to insult Diaz with all the good things he'd done for the community, like teaching a kids class on jiu-jitsu. But Nate took it all in stride and clapped back with a few zingers of his own. He looked the Irish athlete in the eye and said, "You're on steroids," completely flustering his opponent. McGregor got a little defensive, which is actually pretty sus. And since then, the two have been on bad footing, even with Conor winning their second bout in August 2016. And of course, I've got to talk about Justin Gaethje. And this time, it wasn't even before a fight between the two, but instead, Gaethje got dragged into a spat before McGregor went up against Oliveira. The Irish UFC star took to Twitter to comment some ableist things about Justin, calling him a handicap. And although the tweets have since been deleted, fans will always remember it, and it does resurface from time to time. In May 2022, Conor McGregor, who it seems didn't learn his lesson, called Gaethje a bird brain with a bird brain manager and got things heated up. Justin Gaethje isn't really one to take things lying down, so in March 2023, he clapped back and said that if McGregor actually gets a shot at the title after beating Michael Chandler, he'll have to quit the UFC. That fired up something in the Notorious, who got really mad really fast and vented his frustrations out on Twitter. In a tweet, he called Justin the Highlight Gaethje a brain-dead fool and mocked him on the fact that he'd gotten 2 title shots so far and lost both of them, one of which was actually against Chandler. So he's really all just talk and completely overrated. Guess who's next on the list? Our boy from WWE, Brock Lesnar. Back in 2016, he had a message to give to both Jon Jones and Brock Lesnar that went something like "screw them both" in much more explicit language. Fans had a huge blowout after this interview came out because Brock's fan base is rock solid. And some even said that the Irishman wouldn't last even a couple of minutes in the ring with the Conqueror. Lesnar himself served some piping hot shade to Conor after his remarks, and a video surfaced of him saying that he takes dumps that are bigger than McGregor and thoroughly mocked his weight and physique. Well, that didn't go exactly as planned, considering McGregor has an answer for everything. The Irishman came at the beloved WWE star's own physique, claiming that he was only as massive and ripped as he was because he is juiced up to his eyeballs on steroids. When push comes to shove, you can be sure Conor McGregor's gonna come through with his trash talk and convince all his fans that Brock Lesnar is as overrated as they come, despite his massive MMA and WWE career. So, from WWE champ Brock Lesnar to Khabib Nurmagomedov, here were 6 fighters that Conor McGregor thinks are overrated.